This is Zichru Simanim, Gemara Sanhedrin, Dav Chav Tes. Now, Chav Tes, when you spell that out, is going to be a cat. So today's picture, today's scene is going to center around two different cats. We're sitting here in a jail cell with two different cats. On the first cat, and we have Edim. We have Edim standing here in the middle. So number one is we're trying to intimidate Edim against testifying falsely, as we see that they're saying to him, false witnesses are degraded even in the eyes of those who hire them. And that's another way to intimidate them, showing them this wonderful snake, but the snake doesn't have any excuses. Divri Arav, Divri Atalmud, Divri Mishaimim. The snake had such an excuse, but he didn't say such. Why did you listen to me and not to Kadosh Baruch Hu? And that first cut was a little bit more interesting. On the other cut was what? Was a hadah, when someone said, I admit I borrowed $100, and the question was, when do we write down such a hadah? So Dav Chav Tes, we have cats. Two cats sitting here in a jail cell. We have two Eidim that were trying to intimidate against testifying falsely. The Dayanim are holding a snake, but the snake does not want to give the excuse of Divri Rav, Divri Talmud, Divri Yishaimim. And we have another Din Torah over here that they're admitting to owing $100, and when we record that as such. So point number one is we're examining witnesses for Dinei Mamanis. Says the Mishnah, Kitzad Boikin Eidim, how we examine them. We intimidate them. Says the Gemara, Sa'adi Shagir Gayu Zeli. We tell them that if you testify falsely, they're going to be degraded in everyone's eyes. They sent everyone out of the room, leaving only the most chashav Eidim. They asked how he knows about the dad. If he tells to him, someone else said it to him, then it's possible. If he says, no, I know about it because I was there at the time of the halva. Then they bring in a second aid and they examine him with the same story. Mishnah's right, Rav Yehuda, who says the name of the Rav, that at the time of the halva, the Malva has to say, you are my witnesses. Otherwise, he can later say, no, Mishata Anibach. Point number two is, again, remember that on the cat in that jail cell, they're holding a snake. And the snake could have had excuses. Says the Braisa, the Bezdin does not make claims and have someone who doesn't make them himself. But regarding Din and Fashais, we do help him make such claims. However, for a Mesis and instigator Avodah Zarah, we do not. Why? You should have no mercy. If you're innocent, says, we can learn this from the possible Nachash, because Rav Zimlai said, the Nachash had much to say. He could have said, why are you listening to me? You should have listened to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Says Chizkiah. Where do we know? Anyone who adds the tracks, because Chava told the Nachash, they're fitting, of course, for also touching the Eitz Hadas. Hashem only said it's also to eat them. So that's point number two. The snake that these Dayanim are holding, the excuses he could have made, but he did not. Point number three is the other cat over there, not so interested. What's going on over there is, so in a mitzvah that, the question is, when can we write it down? If it's in front of three people, says Rav, you write it even without his permission, because they're called a bezin. Rav says, no, they cannot. Rav says, only write a star. If Finhu, he got them himself, actively seeking the three people to hear and see what's going on. Says Rava, they don't write the shar unless he says Havali Dayane, be my Dayan, and finally Marbar Ravashi says stars will be written if the place the judge and sends him a summons and he then admits, and that is going to be the machlekes when we write down the Aidah. So Dav Chav Tes, in the cat in this jail cell, number one, we try to persuade them not to be false witnesses. We tell them you're going to be degraded in everyone's eyes. Point number two is they're holding the snake, bringing us back to the story of the Nachash HaKadmaini, Adam and Chava. The excuses the snake could have given. But he did not. And finally, on the other cat, on Dav Chav Tes, not as interesting, but in cases when we write down the halva of the Haida, of one who admitted Dav Chav Tes in Sanhedrin.